There are over 7 billion smartphones in the world right now, and I've recently just shown a photo of the newest Nothing phones to my closest friends. They immediately replied with,
"Why does it look like it came from Star Wars?"
It does look like it.
What the heck is that?
But out of the 7 billion phones, why was this the one that stopped him? To answer that, we need to go through 3 big things. So the phones nowadays follow a bit of a template. It just means that they've achieved a state where they can innovate less. This is called the safe design. Safe design, I think, is making most popular phones a bit monotonous. Nothing, however, has a serious ambition to make the market more lively in design, because I think we should all have a bit of character in our lives. Nothing phones on face value are kind of really quirky. They're very niche phones right now, but they could really appeal to a large audience. But the reason why they're not everywhere like some other phones is because of Nothing's team and the founder Carl Pei makes his presence on their YouTube channel. They actively engage with the community with his insights of his products. Carl Pei said, "When you become so big like Apple and Samsung, they have to cater for everyone. So you can't just be niche and be special like Nothing. For everyone, this sounds like a good problem to have, until you figure out it's exactly why every other phone looks the same." So Nothing made 3 decisions that nobody else was willing to make. Expose components from face value sounds like a bad idea. Having all your parts hanging out is terrible. But Nothing is actually hanging out, of course. It's just they show a mock-up of what would look like in the inside. And one of the reasons why they chose this is probably to break up the monotony and making their phones more artistic. In a way, it makes the gap between people and technology just a little bit closer. Nothing OS is like how dumb phones operate. It has strips-backed Android and has given you what actually matters. Every icon, setting, design choice, idea is all consistent and clean. It's definitely mimicking the design language of their hardware, and in a way, it all makes it look intentional. Right now, Nothing has made some pretty bad decisions with adding bloatware that I think is optional. The bloatware consisted of sponsored apps that have made it into the phone. However, this is very disappointing. That said, I have a friend that is using the CMF Phone Pro 2. He bravely switched from an iPhone 13 and basically the entire Apple ecosystem to the more budget end of Nothing. He says, and I quote, "It's his best phone he's ever had, easily. I've tried it out in stores and it's absolutely ridiculously smooth, even though the phones have pretty mediocre specs. Their Glyph system is what really inspires me to create something unique. It may be a gimmick, but it could be really beneficial because most of the time I have my phone on its front, and whenever a notification comes through, I have to flip it over to check it." The Glyph system has adapted over the years, emerging from the Glyph lights, which were little bars that would pulse around the phone, and then Glyph lights around the camera. But the one thing that was really controversial about their flagship, the Nothing Phone 3, is their Glyph Matrix. Let me explain what the Glyph Matrix is. It's a little screen in the top right corner of the phone, and it has hundreds of LED lights. On the negative side, it has eliminated the original Glyph lights entirely, and now they've introduced the Glyph bar, which is stepping further away from the Glyph lights, but it is a promising change. The problem is, nobody really knows Nothing exists. Nothing has changed my design understanding to make things simpler and with more character. You don't have to own a Nothing phone to take anything from what I've said. But I reckon if you just stop following the crowd because it feels safe and comfortable, choosing something or making something that looks like you made it is similar to how Nothing figured out with their phones. Now we need to catch up to them.